All right, my people of faith. Let's take another walk. We're continuing on the subject of forgiveness. Um, I don't know if we're going to make this a series or not, but we're on the third part. And the part what we're going to talk about today is molestation. We're about to put ourselves in a position to receive the forgiveness from being molested or molesting. Okay? All right. Which is to say, you may have been on the victim side of the molestation as well as you have victimized a person in the molestation. Well, if anybody have, first of all, so let me say this. I'm not going to preach or teach anything that I'm not practicing myself. And for starters to say, I myself was molested. I can say no fault of my own. But if the truth was to be told, I had the power within me to talk about it, say something about it, but for years I held on to it and it got the best of me. Then that turned into resentment, that turned to a hatred, and that developed a throne for me to sit on in darkness. And that throne is called pride. And then it became arrogance. So I knew that I needed to be set free in my mind because my mind was never at peace. I was constantly in fear based upon the spiritual and mental aspect of the molestation. Okay, now let's go into that. Okay, the spiritual aspect of it is that when God created us, He created us in His image and His likeness, which is to say we are perfection. We are perfect. We are created of love, power, and a sound mind. That means the mind is not indecisive, or the mind is not confused. The mind is stable. When God created us, He made us with a stable mind, a secured mind, a healthy mind, or a healthy soul, and He given us love, which means we have the most powerful existence there is inside of us. We're created out of that. And we have the power of free will to create something of good, that it always produces good, not just for us, but for who's on the recipient end of it. So when God created us, He created us in this. But through the act of the molestation, the spirit of molestation came in to bring forth hurt. The point of bringing in hurt, if we defend the hurt can stay and torment our soul. The soul consists of the mind, the will, the emotion, the intellect, and imagination. So if you can't imagine anything that's beautiful, imagine anything that's lovely, imagine anything that's pure, imagine anything that's honest, imagine anything that's kind, imagine anything that's true or that is of truth, then your soul or your imagination is up under the lordship of darkness. When God created us, He created us in His image. So the only thing that supposed to come out of us was Him. And God is nothing but love. He is all love. So only thing that supposed to come out of us is supposed to be the creation of love, or a recreation of love from the origin of our DNA, which is the Heavenly Father, who is all love. Okay, so when the molestation happened, when the act happened, it did something to our soul. Our soul was on an autopilot, only in response to God, anything of love. That's why when we were young, we run up under those that we trust, because there's a love there. there's innocence there. There's a connection there. But what hurt does, or what hurt, the intention of the hurt from the act of or the spirit of molestation, it came in for us to divide. I mean, it came in to divide that love between us and that love. It came to disconnect us with that love. So within that disconnection, since we stay away from love long enough, we no longer become familiar to it. Love becomes an enemy because it's unfamiliar. It's a threat. So now at that point, we'll begin to protect and defend the hurt. This creates the throne of pride and arrogance and wrath. And so now we have a despisement, we have a retaliation, we have revenge, we have jealousy, we have envy, we have fear. This is all fear-based. Now we got doubt, now we got insecurities, now we have low self-esteem, now we have, let me see anything else that I'm missing. Now we have torment inside of our soul. There is no peace inside of our soul. So the average person that has been molested don't have no clue that this is going on inside their soul. They just know that they're not happy, they're not of joy, that they're not of peace. They know these things, but they don't know the reason why. So through the natural aspect, God has given us a way of an escape. God talks through certain people. We may refer to them as a therapist, some mental therapists, psychological therapists, whatever, however you want to slice that, and that can help us in that way. But ultimately, the spirit of molestation is a spirit from the pit of hell. That spirit is a spirit of perversion. It's separated from love. So how it works, it actually intervenes into a loved one. By the loved one, that loved one was infiltrated. At some point, that loved one, or the person that we trust, or the person who we didn't trust, or the person that forced himself upon us, or whatever, they are separated from love. And however that happened, it could have been through their parents. It could have been through the parents, the mother, or whatever, being conceived. It could have been a transference of that spirit from generations that passed on to them, that they have no control. At the end of the day with that, we don't know the root of where it started, but we do know who developed it, who created it, and where it actually comes from. Now, we may not know who's the person who passed it on to this one, to that one, to that one, but we do know who is the one who created it. This comes from Satan himself. Satan looks the same in every individual. He looks deceptive. He looks good to eat, or good to meditate on, or to think on, or to invite in. He's disguised himself that way, as well as he is very tormentable, if that's a word. If not, we just created a new word. Tormentable. Satan is these things. He's with every person, with every soul. It doesn't matter what ethnic background that you're from, or what religion that you practice, or what traditions you're from, or what customs and all that. Satan is still the same. He's still a spiritual force of darkness that comes on one mission to kill, steal, and destroy the soul, which is to separate the soul from its creator. This goes far back. I want to say Isaiah 12 and 14, or Isaiah 14 and 12. I'm not sure. I'll put the scripture from the Bible in the description. And it talks about how Lucifer, the beautiful morning star, how he was created in God's image, and how he did what he did in the beginning within himself, which is basically betrayal. He actually tried to rise up in power, or rise up of the authority of God, which he said within himself was, I will be like the Most High God. And now he's in competition. Now he's comparison. Now that immediately separated him from God. If you're not in love, love is a one moving motion. You can't steer love into a direction. Now you're making love conditional. That's what Satan did. So If love is going in one motion from left, let's say hypothetically, let's say love is going from left to right, and it's going that way, you can't be in love and then say, I'm going to make you go up, go vertical, up and down. Now, you're horizontal, you're going from left to right, but you can't steer love and say, like, well, it's going to do it this way. Now you just separate yourself from the origin of love. Love has a motion, one motion. That's why we could say love is blind, love is true, love is kind, love is all these. Love has no fear, so because it has one motion. So the moment that we try to steer it in a different direction, we make it conditional. That's based upon fear. When we want to make love conditional, or to guide it, to make it one-sided or two-sided, whatever, favoritive or whatever, we are making it conditional. And we're taking it away from his actual, we're separating ourselves from the origin of it. This is what Satan did in the very, very, very beginning. So with that, he became perverse. He separated from love, so he's the opposite of love. If love is patient, love is true, which is not dishonest. If love is kind, if love is beautiful, if love is honest, and if love is all these traits, then Satan became the opposite of all that, which makes him the father of the opposite, or the father of darkness, the father of lies, the father of fear, the father of hate, the father of father of deception, the father of perversion. When God created love, love is a complete circle. It's harmony. It goes from left to right. It has no reason to stop because it has no fear. So take that in consideration when the act of molestation was actually, when it transpired. You may have been on the victim side of it, but you don't have to be a victim to it, to the spirit of it. You can actually let love come in and stop the torment. Now, for some to say it is unfair, but then I mean that's still you're still defending the hurt. If you say like that person don't deserve to be forgiven, you're defending the hurt. That's fear-based. Love is trying to come in to heal your soul, to be back in oneness with God like you was originally when he created you, so you can walk in this blissful paradise that he have provided for you before the foundations of the world. But as long as we're on the outside of the fence, we will be a slave to fear. Remember, the only thing that will stop you from loving is, or stop you being on the train of love, is to separate yourself or walk off or get off the train, which is now to be in fear. So, and how the kingdom of darkness is, the kingdom of darkness, you will not have a throne that's above Satan. Your throne will be up under his foot, which means you're going to serve in his kingdom. So you're going to serve in this pit of hell inside your soul. Now, we were just talking about the imagination aspect of the soul. Now, just imagine your willpower, your free will, the choices that you make now, or the power that you have to choose. You're going to be confused. You're going to be indecisive. You're not going to know which is what to do, which not to do. So you're going to deal with a lot of panic, a lot of doubt, a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. This is a lot of pressure that's going to be condensed in the free will aspect to make a sound decision based upon the hurt of the molestation. So if there's no forgiveness of the person who did it for you, the person who demonstrated the act because it wasn't them, if you can see that it wasn't them, but it was actually the wicked one himself, it was Satan himself that got inside them, and it wasn't them because more likely they probably was molested themselves, or somewhere along the line, he came inside them and deceived them to demonstrate the act of deception, which was the act of molestation towards you. So the point of why you in particular got molested was to stop the train. You are a part of a train. You're the part that when God created you, and very specifically, you directly, personally, you as an individual that listened to this, God created you with a very, very specific assignment to do on this earth. And the purpose and the intent of why the molestation came towards you directly is to stop you from doing that purpose. There's something inside of you of greatness. It's nothing, no gates of hell can stop that. The only thing the gates of hell is trying to do is get you to get off the train of love so you won't birth this greatness. And the greatness doesn't have nothing to do with money. It doesn't have nothing to do with drugs. It doesn't have nothing to do with fame. It doesn't have nothing to do with fortune. It doesn't have nothing to do with that. Greatness, those are crumbs in comparison to the greatness that's inside of you. Can you imagine that the stories that you, let's say for example, the stories that you heard of Jesus, let's say that is actually you. You can walk on the water. You can heal people. You can raise the dead. You can do all this. Okay, would you prefer to have that? I mean, would you rather have that, or would you rather have $1 trillion? Everybody knowing your name. Okay. But you don't have no health. You don't have no peace. Because the moment you get $1 trillion, everybody's going to be in your business. Because you have a backstory. You have a past, and people are connected to your past. So they're going to want a piece of that pie. They're going to want a piece of that money, that fame. So they're going to do whatever it takes to get a part of it. So there's no peace with that. Would you rather have that lifestyle of doing whatever it takes for $1, or living in bondage of check to check, whatever the case may be, or actually walking in the greatness, the abundance of life, how Jesus demonstrated himself on the earth? Now, a person may say, like, why don't you demonstrate that? That's not my greatness. That's inside of me. My greatness is what I'm doing now, is to actually, God chose this vessel to speak through. This is not me. This is my free will being in unison with the Father. And he is speaking to whoever, to whomever, free from whatever, that you don't have to be in the bondage of that. You can start the process of the forgiveness from the molestation with the forgiveness of yourself. Here's a simple solution. You can do it the long way or the short way. The short way, every day, make up your bed before you leave the house. Literally, go to your bed and make sure you made it up every day. A person says, like, okay, what does that have to do with anything? You're getting rid of the hurt. That's what's the purpose of it. Or you can do it the long way, which I think is very beautiful as well. You can go to the mirror every day, wash your face or rinse your face 7 times with water, and look in the mirror, say your first name, and then you say, I love you 7 times. For example, if I were to look in the mirror, I would say, James, I love you. 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 Now, a person may say, what is that going to do? The Father wants to talk to you. He needs a starting point. The scripture says, I believe it's in James 4:8, if you draw nigh to me, I will draw nigh to you. Cleanse your hands, ye sinner. Purify your hearts, ye double-minded. Which is to say, if you draw nigh to God, God will draw nigh to you. You may say, how come God is not drawing nigh to you? God is there waiting. He has been waiting since the foundation of the world for you to get to the place, because he knew what was going to happen to you. So he made a way for you to come connect to you. Now, a person may say, well, how come God just didn't stop it? God does not authorize past free will. This is why the enemy did it the way that he did it. He went through a loved one, or he went through someone you trust, or he did it through a very deceptive, stealing type of way. He can stop people from doing what they're doing if people are willing to yield. But everybody's not listening to the Father. Everybody's not listening to the Holy Spirit on the earth. But we all have free will. So the person who did what they did to me, they are responsible to listen to what's good or what's not. I can't do anything about that. What affects me from it, or even the act that if they were stronger than me physically and I couldn't do anything about that, well, what somebody said, like, well, then that's not fair. I still have a voice to say something about it at the time that it happened. Did I say anything about it? No, I kept it in because I was afraid. And if we want to take the measure, most cases, what we already have inside of us will guide us to destruction. Now, before the act, now this is my story. I can't speak for your story. But if yours is similar to mine, mine goes like this. I was in fear since I was a little kid, since I can remember. So the act that actually happened of molestation, it came through the act of fear on my part. I had a choice to walk in fear and to do what the person asked me to do, or not asked me to do, what told me to do, or threatened me to do, whatever. I could do that, or I actually can run. And even when the person threatened me with my life, okay, if you don't do this, I'll kill you. If you don't do this, I'll hurt you. I have a choice. I chose to hold myself in the confinement of fear. And I listened to them. And so that kept me in that. And so therefore, from that point on, now it's like, have you ever heard this saying, never give in to a, hold on for 1 second. Let me see if I can find it. Never give in to a terrorist attack or demands of a terrorist attack, or, when they threaten you, if you don't do this, never give in to a demand of that, because it will never end. It's like pulling like a loose thread. It keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling, and keep pulling, and keep pulling. So it don't matter if you do it the first time. If you listen to them the first time, they have that power over you because you are in fear of that. When you first did what they told you to do, you were in fear and you listened to them. So therefore, they have leverage over you. This is the very reason why Satan got inside them. However, he got inside them to get to you, because there's greatness inside of you. But if he can get you to be inside of a fear bubble, you will never do what? You will never demonstrate and allow that greatness to be shown. You're bigger than the spotlight of the flashy lights and the money. That's crumbs. That's all Satan's stage play to distract us from being great. If you look at the people that are considered famous or whatever, look what they have to do or what they have to do to sustain that fame. And what are they really famous for? Look at it from that perspective. What are they really famous for? And if they're famous for something other than not demonstrating love, pure, being honest, being kind, being truthful, being beautiful, being patient, being good. If they're not in that avenue, it's costing them their peace. You have to ask yourself the question, do you want the riches of the kingdom of heaven, which is you have the materialistic things, but you have a peace of mind to enjoy it? Or you have just the materialistic things and no peace of mind to enjoy it? So we have a choice now to walk in the forgiveness of the person who actually demonstrated molestation by understanding that it wasn't them. Their body was just being used by the tormentor. Now, if we put the blame where it belongs, put it on Satan. But Jesus would say, if you draw nigh to me, you can put that blame on me, that I allowed this to happen to you. A person could say, like, well, why would you want to blame Jesus? Jesus didn't do anything. Exactly. But Jesus said, I'm willing to take the blame. That's why he went to the cross for all sins. For everybody's going to do anything wrong. If anybody's going to hurt anybody, for anybody that's not going to walk in love, he went to the cross for all of it, because all the wrong of the world comes from basically from a decision to walk away from love. I can't kill or steal or to be jealous or envious of you if I'm in love. If I'm walking in love, if I'm walking in that, if I'm on that train of love that's going in one motion, there's no way I can actually kill you. There's no way I can steal from you. There's no way I can lie to you. There's no way that I can sleep with somebody that's not my wife, or I can sleep with somebody else's wife. You know, there's no way I can commit these things if I'm on the train of love. There's no way. So if you want to be on that train of love where you have God provided you the best of the best, and you have the peace of mind to enjoy it, then you're gonna have to walk on, you're gonna have to get on board of that train, which is to forgive the person, because the person is actually in hiding inside their body, inside their soul, because the wicked one came inside them, however he did it, and they're in hiding. While they're in hiding, he took over their body, and that spirit from the pit of hell came inside them and basically went towards you with the spirit of perversion. We call this hurt. And the whole purpose of that is to divorce you or separate you from God's love, which God created you from the foundation of the world, which was you are perfect, and inside you is greatness. He's trying to destroy that you would never commit to doing that. He can't stop you. He can only do only thing he can do is convince you to stop yourself. So if hurt is an avenue, he's going to take it. If lying is an avenue, he's going to take it. If these different things that he can use because they're all going to be outside of the train of love. If you can use any of those things to stop you from doing your part to this world, because you are great. With that being said, my people of faith, you can walk in forgiveness. You can walk in the abundance of life. That the abundance of life is nothing. It will never be nothing materialistic. That's like crumbs. That comes with you from the hand of God. Like when God's hand is on you, you have tremendous favor. It follows you. Stuff like that follows you. You don't even want the stuff. You know, it's amazing. Like, let me say this before I go. It's amazing how we do whatever it takes to get the latest car, the latest outfits, and all that good stuff. All that stuff is rags. All that stuff is nothing. So we'll do whatever it takes. We work. We'll steal. Whatever it takes. We even destroy our body to have it. Whatever. Our mind to have it. How about this? Think about this. You can actually have that where that stuff is following you, but you don't really want it. Could you imagine? This is all like a dream. Of course, the only way a person probably can visualize this is through a dream. That a car, the clothes, the health, everything is actually following you to bless you. It's running you down to bless you, versus you doing whatever it takes. You being a slave, or whatever it takes. You working hard. You're in pain trying to get these things, when these things is actually trying to get you. They need you. But what fear has convinced us to do is to be a slave, that we would need those things when those things actually need us. In God's kingdom, if you look through the scriptures, and this is demonstrating in my life even now, that I was a person that was, short little testimony real quick, that I'm a mama's boy. Let me say it that way. I'm a mama's boy. I'm proud of it, and I depended on my mom a lot, in such a way when she went home, she went to glory, and my thoughts was like, okay, what am I going to do without her? You know what I mean? She was my survival. I didn't build a life without her. So what I'm going to do without her? So that became a stress factor. That's a worry pit. That's what the enemy wanted me, because remember, even though he sent out an assignment for molestation towards me, he also still sees that I'm pressing towards the mark of the prize of the high calling. He sees that I'm pressing towards my greatness. So even the molestation couldn't stop me. He still sees that I'm pressing towards. So he's trying to assassinate me. So all of a sudden I'm saying things like, I don't know what I'm going to do without my mom, or what I'm going to do next, because that's all I've known. So now I'm living in fear. I'm living in worry. I'm in doubt. Now you're talking about pressure on top of pressure. That's just that level. Now you got your bills coming in, and now you lose your job, and all your savings is gone. Now you got no food. Your gas and lights is about to be shut off. Your taxes is due. This is one thing after another going to build up, going to build up, going to build up. And you never address the fact that you were molested. So this is all inside my soul. So what is the soul going to do? It's going to pop. The soul is a beautiful paradise. It's a garden that has good soil. No contamination, no weeds, no thorns, no nothing. And all those thoughts of all that stuff was worrisome, and that actually wants to be planted inside my garden, so it can grow up weeds and thorns, whatever, so it can choke the very greatness that God had inside of me before I ever knew that I ever had greatness. Remember, the enemy may have sent out the assignment of the start of the point of the molestation to create the hurt, but that didn't stop God from the greatness being shown. It doesn't stop God's greatness. I'm still in pursuit of God. So the enemy now is using the mother thing to try to get me to choke the life of me. But in my moment of in my moment of weakness, I said some things, and I said to God, I told God I don't trust him. I guess that's all the fears, all the thoughts, all the stuff all over the years that happened to me. And even to think, okay, how about this? From what the person did to me is one thing, but me branching off from that hurt is my demonstration. That's my creation, I should say. I acted off of that. I slept with a lot of women. I watched the pornography. I did this, I did that. So now the stuff that I've done is going to bear fruit of itself. So in the midst of all that, that's inside my soul. But yet still, God's purpose, why he created me, is still inside of me. And no gates of hell, nothing of all the stuff that I created or the stuff that was passed on to me through the act of the molestation can stop the will of God. For whatever reason, it's not whatever reason, this lets you know how beautiful, how great that spirit is inside of you. It still propels to go forward.